19 seconds, Monica came in and said, "I'm resigning." Unbelievable. We're at a session meeting. One, two. It was quiet. It's the quietest session meeting I've ever attended. But we must be respectful of their personal decisions, even if we disagree. However, who is sorry now?
Oliver.
Go. Play.
We have a song called Who's Sorry Now? That voice, which is here, has changed the words. We're sorry
Thank you, choir. Thank you. So today we recognize the contributions of Pastors Duncan and Monica to the life of our St. Andrew's family. We have several speakers to pay their tributes to their successful service to our church. First up is Joanna McNeil, our church secretary, sharing the executive floor with Duncan and keeping the two pastors in line. Thanks, Joanna.
Well, we're all blessed to be a part of this wonderful family of St. Andrews. And though two branches of our tree are moving away, they've left many precious memories for us. You might be surprised, though, at what's expected of our pastors. They have flex time. They start very early, and they can work as late as humanly possible. Pastor Duncan has been very invaluable in the office when things go wrong with the copier, the printer, or the computer. He has a magic touch, and he can fix almost everything. And now I'm going to miss that. And when someone calls for counseling or food vouchers or relationship problems or filmmaking or after-hours deliveries or forgetting their keys or even the Yellow Pages dedicated consultant, I have to ask Duncan. And when I need something heavy to be taken from the basement, the attic, the main level, I ask the young man, Duncan. I'm so blessed to be part of the office team working with Pastor Duncan and Pastor Monica. They've brought a wealth of spiritual and biblical knowledge and discernment to St. Andrews, and their attention to detail makes me look better than I am. I've felt heard, valued, and supported by both in the office and personally in the loss of my husband, my mother, and my sister. And both pastors provide comfort and genuinely show they care, both in our losses and in our joys. Ecclesiastic 4:12 says, "A triple braided cord is not easily broken." That's how I look at our team. Now, without them by my side, I'm going to feel instead of being a strong cord, I'm the weakest link. But I really love you, Duncan, Cynthia, Monica, Brian, and all your families. I wish you a long, happy, and blessed retirement, and I will miss you more than I can say. Thank you.
My goodness, that was a powerful speech, right? Maybe she should be the next minister, right? Wow. Gee, that was good. That was well done. Well done. Next up is our Alan Virgin, our Director of Youth Ministries, to comment on his rapport with the two pastors.
Thank you. Duncan and Monica, of all the pastors I worked with over the years, you are definitely some of them, but not just that. It's been a joy working with you. Really, really enjoyed not just serving side by side, but the friendships that we've developed. I know sometimes our conversations have gone maybe a little longer than responsible, but that's because we've enjoyed and loved each other so much. So I thought, how do you pay tribute to shepherds of a congregation? Well, I've taken some inspiration from Ezekiel chapter 34, because if you're a shepherd, that's exactly where you want to hear from, the book of Ezekiel. But I think you might find there's a bit of an inversion at play here. So Ezekiel 34 is famously a prophecy against the bad shepherds of Israel. But when we look at what you've done and the flock that the next shepherds of this flock will be inheriting, we find the sheep are well fed. We find that the weak are strengthened and the wounded are bandaged. The strayed have been called back, that the flock has been cared for with gentleness and servant-hearted love, that you've given sheep a home, a safe place. You've sought to save the lost. You've been shepherds that look like the Good Shepherd. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Alan. Yes, we're all shepherds, aren't we? And we heard that sermon this morning, right? Good. So the third person coming up will be, let me have a look here, is the Director of Children's Ministries, Caroline Lassard, to give her perspective on these folks.
I've been thinking recently about faithfulness. Faithfulness has become an extraordinary thing in our culture, which is extraordinarily awful. But when I look at Duncan and Monica and their spouses and families for that matter, I'm very struck by their faithfulness. Joanne referenced the many, many, many things that pastors do, some of which you might not know. Both Duncan and Monica deal with complicated issues every day, some of them very, very difficult. And I have always been struck by their faithfulness in doing what they could, even in difficult interpersonal situations. I have seen them resolve problems, but I've also seen them have to come along with people where the situation wasn't actually resolvable. It wasn't something that anyone could fix, and they have been faithful in that. And I have also experienced a great deal of support from them in terms of my own ministry. And when I look at St. Andrews, I see all kinds of fruit of that faithfulness in the, for lack of a better word, quality of the people that make up St. Andrews, who have been nurtured by their faithfulness. So I wish you both well. I half-jokingly suggested that we could prevent their retirement by throwing ourselves at their feet and just holding on really, really tight. Duncan said he didn't know if Presbytery had a protocol for that. Presbytery does not have a protocol for that, but the police do. So it's probably not such a good idea. I do think we have to allow them to leave. However, there is a song that used to be played at every leave-taking in a Christian community, to the point that it became a little cringeworthy, but that's the song Friends, that makes the point that when we are in relationship in Christ, we are in relationship forever. And so they leave us to continue their ministry, really, as retired people, but we're never out of ministry. But it's not like we lose them, in that our relationship with them continues. So I wish you both well, and your spouses and families, as you go into the next part of your lives.
No washing of the feet is allowed. I'm not sure I'd want to do it, to be quite honest. Yeah. Okay, next up is a young lady to my left here, director of the music, Helen Simonoff, to review her relationships with Duncan and Monica.
It's my great pleasure to say thank you and happy retirement to Duncan and Monica, who have become great friends to myself, to the choir, to everyone, I believe, at St. Andrews. They're not just pastors. They're people. They're part of us. It's a family. So thank you. We feel comfortable with you, and we're very sorry that you're leaving, but we wish you all the best, of course. I'd like to say that Duncan has done more than what you see here. He's helped me move the communion table, bell tables. You wouldn't believe the things he does behind the scenes. And he sang in the praise team. He helped choose, of course, the music for the services. Monica chose songs that we didn't know before. From Getty, we were introduced to the new composer Getty. She led the pastoral care luncheons, which were very special. I know I was part of it, and I think many of us appreciated what she did with those. She also was helping at Seven Oaks. We had some services there, and she was the preacher, and I was playing piano, so Seven Oaks is thanking her for her contribution to their welfare there as well. Duncan and Monica got us through the COVID. They got us through this. It wasn't here for so many years, you know that. The screen and the microphones. This is new. Well, the chair's just 206 years old, you know. New can be memorable. But I'd like to say thank you to our organized leaders, pastors who've helped us through troubled times and very many happy times, like, you know, Robbie Burns, Irish Night, all kinds of special events, choir events, you name it. They've been there, and I know I'm going to miss them. They even open the windows, you know, things like you don't even think about a pastor doing, but when they're not here, we're going to have to do those things, you know. How can you say, you knew I was going to do this, right? So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, goodbye. How can you just say that? No. We have in the choir a better song with feelings that we feel, and I'm sure you do too. May the good Lord bless and keep you.
Well, I always thought Helen was a bit of a ringer, and I think that's been shown today, and we can't underestimate the contribution that Helen makes to music ministry. Thank you. From the congregation, Mr. J.B., to speak of his friendship with Duncan and Monica. I assume it's friendship, is it? Oh. Oh. Do you want to speak later, or are you up to it? Well, sit down then. No, come on. Come on, give it a go, okay?
Hi. Thank you, Alan. Monica, Duncan, family, and friends. I'd like to talk about Brian to start with. Brian has artfully infiltrated our congregation here, and I suspect he's been voluntold to add with his piano talents. And I know that, and maybe I shouldn't be saying this in front of everybody, but I know that you're a Toronto Maple Leaf fan. And he's got a great sense of humor, which, if you're a Maple Leaf fan, yeah. He's made many friends here, and I certainly hope I'm one. Now get this. To add to our sadness, Monica is not only leaving, but get this, she plans on taking him with her. Oh, I tell you, that to me just kind of verges on a tiny bit on selfishness. But one look at their lovely family will tell you that, sure, they wish to spend more time with them, and we wish them well. Monica. Monica's been very busy visiting those people that are sick of our church. That's the way you wrote it, Duncan. Oh, story of my life. Monica has made several visits to our members at home and in hospital, thus relieving Duncan from an arduous task, so much so that he was able to knock 2 strokes off his game. Yeah. Monica has told me that there's safety in numbers. But I found it in Genesis 43:9. Anybody can look that up. Monica's coming from an educational background, but she was just a tad upset with me because I couldn't spell Armageddon. Like, it's not the end of the world. Monica has been there for me, that's my serious face, for a minute. Monica has been there for me and my family, and I'm sure that's echoed by many, many in the congregation. Many blessings, special lady. Cynthia, also known as the Moose Lady. Yes. She's headed up our Sunday school. She was instrumental in computerizing our library. And of course, she's been our in-house nurse forever. And we appreciate those efforts. Her biggest charge, of course, is looking after her eldest, Duncan. And the grandkids will be well served by your service. Duncan. I shook hands with Duncan on the way in because might not get another chance. But everybody acted surprised at this, and to me, I had an inkling back in March that something was happening when he sold the manse. You've got it's going to turn into a sixplex, is that right? Okay. One of the many things I like about Duncan is that he always preaches from the Bible. And he often takes deep dives into the scriptures. Sometimes he dives really deep and stays down for a long time. But it amazes me, he comes up very dry every time. Yeah, I don't know how he does it. But Duncan has welcomed scores of people into the congregation, and many new members. And as far as I know, nobody's been dismembered yet. Yeah. If and when I grow up, I want to be just like Duncan. Serious face again. A kid from our congregation said to his mom, "Mom, I really like that man at church." "Oh, what man would that be?" "You know, the explainer guy." And that has to be Duncan. And that's something I think Duncan will wear as a badge. And soon the committee will be charged with the daunting task of trying to find 6 people to replace these 2. I will truly miss you, my friends, truly. And may God bless you in the future. And for Monica, Duncan, and this church, remember Jehovah Jireh. Amen.
I heard Jim was leaving. It was just no. Someone said you were renting the manse. That's not true? Well, get your furniture out of there then, right? Okay, come on. Goodness me. Okay, a relative new member of St. Andrews, Michael Press, is actually traveling down to, let's see, where is he? Kentucky. He couldn't be present today, but recorded the following, which we will see.
Greetings from Kentucky, Pastors Monica and Duncan. I've been asked to record this session and thought that would be a great idea. Unfortunately, not being able to make this event. Alan Leach did ask me to keep this under 2 minutes. I was going to crack into Volume 1 of Milton's Paradise Lost, but unfortunately, there's just not enough time. So, on behalf of the men's ministry and also perhaps those who've recently been baptized and joined the congregation, I'd just like to send my best wishes and thanks for all that you've done for me and I'm sure others as well. Your attention and care and loving pastoral touch was instrumental in my joining the church and feeling like I can fit into the church as a new believer. So I from the bottom of my heart and from every wish that your future journey and your steps be blessed by God as you move into your new realm. I again give thanks and appreciate all that you've done for myself and for others in the congregation. Hopefully we'll stay in touch, and all the best for your future ahead. Thank you.
Duncan wrote that before he left. No, seriously. Yeah, seriously. Goodness me. I thought Michael was a nice fellow. Yeah. Okay. Coming up is Helen McCarley. Elder will now offer her tribute to Monica.
Monica, my pastor, my mentor, my friend. It's my privilege to pay tribute to you on behalf of our pastoral care team, a team that you've led by example for the past 8 years. And one of the extraordinary things about being part of this team was every meeting we had, Monica checked in with all of us individually, making sure that we were looking after ourselves before we try to look after other people, never hesitating to pray whenever there was a need. And you know how much I appreciate that, Monica. So, Monica, I think people had her on speed dial a lot of the time. She was the first one there when it came to visiting in hospital, visiting us in our homes, in care facilities, in rehab. And we as a congregation and the larger community here at St Andrews have so much appreciation for your compassionate care and always, always your prayers. Now, we're only allowed a couple of minutes, and so I can't go too far into our most recent ministry here, the Grief Share programme. It's a wonderful programme supporting those who are grieving the loss of a loved one, and it's been my absolute privilege to minister alongside Monica these last few months. Monica, your compassionate ear, your wise responses, your wise counsel are a testimony to your special ministry. That's your superpower, ministering to those who are grieving. So thank you for that, Monica. We will miss your tender care, your support, your compassion, and we'll miss your prayers, but I know that you'll remember us. So from the pastoral care team and from our congregation, our prayer for you and for Brian is that you will enjoy a long, healthy, and very happy retirement. We love you so much, and we will miss you. God bless.
Yes, I'm part of the pastoral care, and I can endorse those sentiments. Thank you, Helen. And I should mention that Helen has really been the architect of this gathering, not only here today, but the meal we're going to have later. Our final speaker, Ed Beattie, on behalf of the session, will capture the contributions of these two again. I can't keep saying their names, right? You know who they are.
I wish you'd have told me sooner. A tribute from Session to Duncan and Monica. What always impressed me as a member of Session was Duncan's preparedness. His spiritual preparedness, the very anchor and essence of Duncan's being. His managerial preparedness, his proactivity, always planning ahead. His record keeping, we relied on his daily planner for dates for everything we were organizing. His policy preparedness, his wide knowledge of Presbyterianism and its polity. His budgetary preparedness, his complete knowledge of all our funds, and finances and our fiscal calendar. His pastoral care, and I got this one from Monica this morning, he knows our name, every one of us. His knowledge of Session rules, he was a walking, talking book of forms. His leadership, he was always prepared to lead and did. His cooperation, always found a way to cooperate. His teamwork, always prepared to build and inspire new ideas, programs, and people. This was never clearer than when Pastor Monica came on the scene as a field associate from Knox College. It was obvious to all that this was a match made in heaven from our church, for our church and ministry. Monica, after a successful career in education as a teacher, she was testing new waters as an extension of her lifetime of faith. Monica quickly adapted to the role of applying her wonderful sense of dedication, her teaching talent, her strong work ethic, her creativity, and her passion for the role. And Duncan behind working to incorporate Monica's skills, aspirations into every aspect of St. Andrew's ministry. Now 8.5 years later, we have been the recipient of teamwork at its very best. Ladies and gentlemen, we have been truly blessed by both of these wonderful pastors. What a foundation we have to rebuild on for our future. We know what we had, and by extension, we know clearly what we need for the future. Thank you to Pastor Duncan and Pastor Monica for your service. Praise be to God.
Thank you, Ed. I echo those comments. I endorse them. And he's right. But it's going to be tough. Let's be honest. Duncan and Monica will be deeply missed at St. Andrews. They have encouraged and enriched our spiritual growth, and we offer our deepest gratitude for the service. 27, about 11 with the field work. Wow, that's a lot. And you mentioned earlier we've had, 16 ministers, has it come through? I think the Leafs have had 34 coaches. Right? So what does that tell you? Maybe we need a Presbyterian coach. Maybe. Anyhow, we wish both a wonderful retirement with their spouses and pray for God's blessing in our future endeavors. Thank you so much. I now invite Yvonne Long and Jim Eckersall to come forward and present some flowers to Duncan and Monica, respectively.
I'm going to preface this by saying, you all realized that I worked very closely with Duncan for 25 years as clerk of session. So I will say nothing more about that. Okay, I will manage to get through this, okay? I know the people in the congregation very well. I've been coming to this church for 50-some years. So on behalf of all of these people that love you very much, and those folks who are online for various reasons, I'm going to present these flowers to you with love and appreciation for the years of spiritual guidance that you have bestowed upon us. With these flowers comes our sincere wishes and our prayers for a happy, healthy retirement, not only for you, but for the wife, Cynthia.
Well, Monica, I have been instructed, no, I've been told not to say anything. To keep it short, I just want to thank you for all your time, all your efforts, all your work, and all of your support. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Yvonne and Jim. Memory books and monetary gifts will now be presented by Eleanor Keith to Monica, Norm Smith to Duncan. Mm-hmm. That concludes our formal part, but I would invite the pastors to come forward and say a few words. What shall we limit it? 1 hour each? Maybe 30 minutes each. We don't want to go too long. And you can't repeat the sermon, okay? Who would like to go first? Hold on. Let's go over there, sir. Boy, that's the first time I've upped him.
If that's my spot no longer, then Alan, you're preaching next Sunday.
I'm up for it. Oh, but Monica's preaching. No, she's not.
First of all, I wanted to say thank you to everybody who has made this day such a special one for us. There have been a lot of, I'm going to call them semi-secretive meetings that have been going on, and so we really don't know, I don't think, everybody who has had a hand in this. But the list is probably too long to go through anyway, and we'd like to get to the meal as it is. But even more than those who've made this day so special, I want to say thank you to those who've made the last 27 years so special. Beginning with Cynthia. Cynthia's words, "We're moving, aren't we?" were the thing that really cemented the fact that God was calling us here to Scarborough, and really more specifically here to St. Andrews. But in the 27 years since, she has also held down the home front with such incredible devotion, while I was so often here doing all the various things that you've already heard about, but also serving on behalf of the presbytery elsewhere. So, honey, here's to not only having weekends together, but 7-day weekends together. And then my kids, of whom I am so immensely proud. I can speak, I really can. I do this for a living. It's not easy growing up as a preacher's kid. Not only do you get dragged into all kinds of extras like snow shoveling around the church on Christmas Eve, stacking tables and chairs for innumerable congregational events, but there is an extra pressure that comes with being a preacher's kid, and you have all carried that pressure with such incredible grace. And I am so grateful for the people you've become. The elders of St. Andrews, both active and retired, and many who have gone on to glory in the time that I've been here. Yvonne once said that the elders of St. Andrews made me look good. And they did. They recognized that this is a team thing, that no one or even two people could provide the leadership or the care that a congregation of this size needs. You have truly been our fellow shepherds, and I will always be grateful for you. The staff, in order of seniority, Helen and Joanna. Where did Joanna get to, and Alan and Carolyn. How well you all demonstrate what it means to be the body of Christ as each part does its work. Your part in keeping this congregation healthy and vital, even through a once-in-a-century pandemic, simply can't be overstated. And I am so grateful to have known and worked with all of you. Monica. It's incredible to me that you have only been here for 1/3 of my ministry, but I think that's testament to how quickly it became our ministry. And I am so grateful to have had these years both serving and learning with you, and for the care that you have shown to our people. And then all of you, the people of St. Andrews, who have been our family really for nearly 3 decades. I was asked years ago to what I would attribute the health and growth of this congregation, and facetiously I said caffeine and prayer. Really, the second part was not facetious at all. Your prayers, my prayers, all of our prayers have been such a big part of what has gone on. I may have planted some seeds, but so many of you have had a part in watering them. But of course, throughout, it has been our Lord who has given the increase. He has been faithful. He has provided. And so above all, I have to thank Him who has been my Lord, my Savior, my boss, and the source of everything good that this ministry has produced. And His provision for this congregation will continue, including His provision of the next people who will be welcomed into this pulpit. I don't mean you, Alan. That's okay. The new people who will be welcomed into this fellowship. And I pray the new people who will be welcomed into all of your hearts as well. So I ask you to make room for whoever comes next. But remember us, especially in your prayers, as we will remember you. Thank you.
Well done, Duncan. Not easy, not easy. No. Monica. Did you want to come here, Monica? Yes. I'll sit over.
I'm trying to find some water.
I think Brian's missing it.
Be careful, I might steal your notes. Yeah. Okay. Where's my Kleenex? Okay, I have this too. The psalmist David said in Psalm 16, verse 16, "The boundary lines have fallen for me in pleasant places." I haven't gotten very far, have I? This has been my experience here at St. Andrews. Coming to ministry later in life, I knew from the onset that this day would come soon, and the day for me to retire from the ministry that God called me to at St. Andrews. And it just seems to have come with the speed of summer lightning. And I've only been here for 1/3 of Duncan's ministry, so I can't imagine how he and Cynthia are feeling, and the rest of you as well. It is a very bittersweet time for me because I've enjoyed being a part of the St. Andrews family, and Brian and I will miss you all. I'd like to begin by thanking the committee that organized this do for us today. There were 6 of them. Do you know who they were? Alan and Patricia, Helen, Ed, Suzanne, and Brenda. And I'd like to give you a sincere thanks for all the behind-the-scenes work and all the joshing you had to take from 1JB. And I'd like to thank the congregation for your love and support for me over the years. Sometimes it was in a card, or in an email, or a phone call, or a conversation that you expressed your appreciation or your thanks, or you gave me a word of encouragement. Other times it was a care parcel of food or an invitation to dinner, Miranda, a few times over the years, a handmade blanket for me to give out to one of our members who was not able to get out to church. Other times it was handing me a cup of coffee or a sandwich, or lending me a listening ear or a suggestion or practical help with my many wardrobe malfunctions. We were thankful to the kind person who sponsored, Duncan and I were thankful for the kind saint who sponsored our Monday morning coffee clutch in the office, which always came with a lot of laughs and was a great start to the week. He shall remain nameless. During the COVID years, we had to do a big pivot, as you know, and the staff had to do a big pivot, and Helen, oh my gosh, you had to do a big pivot, and we had to learn new skills. Many people got involved to make that happen. We ramped up our technology. We first videotaped parts of the service that were painstakingly edited by Eric, and he added in the taped hymns before it was posted online. We expanded our tech team, our wonderful tech team, as a result, and now we have an online congregation which actually rivals our in-person congregation. Our online audiences reaches the whole world, from India to Scotland to Vancouver and beyond. So I'm most grateful to you who make our live streaming possible, and Michael Press, whom we've seen, and a big shout out to Renee, who has taken our social media presence to a whole new level. When Brian joined St. Andrews a year ago, he welcomed him with open arms. Helen was quick to get him involved in the music ministry, and for that too, we're most grateful. And Brian morphed into my Sunday morning assistant, chauffeur, and it was him that got the red light ticket. Oh, I didn't. As well as keeper of my keys, purse, sermon notes, cough candies, money, Kleenex, you name it. Brian has always been like this, is no surprise to the family, but some of you have only met him in the last year. And the ladies in our grief share group have gotten to know Brian too. I don't know by reputation. And so, Brian, I think you're going to be missed by the whole congregation, and I'm glad that I have you. It's been a long time since Brian and I were able to worship together, and so we've enjoyed the past year immensely. Brian and Cynthia have joked about sitting together in the minister's spouse's pew. When our family was able to attend worship, they were also welcomed, and I'm so thrilled to have Heather and Christy here today, our two eldest daughters. Heather was my kind of muse when I was preparing my sermons, and she would often listen to them and make helpful suggestions, so you've benefited from her insight as well. And Christy's always been there for me. We love to chat with one another. And unfortunately today we don't have our whole family here. Sarah is in Ottawa. She's married with 3 little granddaughters. And our eldest is 10. She turned 10 on Friday. And our next is 9, and the next is 6. So where has the time gone? I don't know. Without the tremendous support of Brian and my family, I wouldn't have been able to minister effectively here, and I thank them for the sacrifices that they've made over the years. The congregation is so amazing when it comes to pitching in when the call goes out for volunteers. I was trying to count up how many congregations I've been involved with over my many years, and this is the congregation that stands out. You guys all pitch in. You work together. When something needs to be done, like the room needs to be cleared, like in an hour, it's cleared or it's set up, you know. The men of the congregation have just done yeoman's service in that way. And also the women in the kitchen, some of them haven't ever gotten out of the kitchen, it seems. So many hands make light work. Oh, I have to mention Paul. We were having strawberry shortcake on Friday, and Paul Cornett was out in the parking lot. It was stoving hot the whole day, taking care of a tree, and he took care of it. You know, it fell down almost on Helen's car, and so he just looked after it. Many people work in our church behind the scenes, and you may not know what they do, but it's really so enjoyable to come here and just to see everybody pulling together. I'd like to thank the session and the board of managers who have taken their responsibilities very seriously. And I've enjoyed sitting as a member of the session under Duncan and our conversations and our session meetings. And just a reminder, we have one next Sunday after worship. I'd like to also thank my fellow staff members, Carolyn, Alan, Helen, and Joanna, for their support, their collegiality, and their friendship. I'd also like to thank the pastoral care team, which has done yeoman's service over the years in visiting our friends, preparing for pastoral care luncheons, sending cards, and praying for the people of St. Andrews. They've always gone above and beyond. And I'd like to thank the mission and outreach team, which has kept the mission of the church front and center at St. Andrews. As we've all experienced, Joanna is the perfect face of St. Andrews in the office. Where are you, Joanna? You. In the office or on the phone, courteous, cheerful, friendly, with a can-do attitude. No problem. Joanna, it's been an absolute pleasure to work so closely with you. I really can't thank you enough for everything you've done for me, personally, and as well as for this congregation. Thank you. And to Duncan, you've been my mentor, my advisor, my fact checker, my theological discussion partner, as well as, like Joanna, my go-to person for all things technological and all equipment malfunctions. Your ability to read and make sense of Excel spreadsheets that are full of numbers is totally awe-inspiring to me. On top of that, Duncan, you've been an exceptional team player, allowing me to minister in areas of my gifting and to leave other responsibilities like the Book of Forms to you. I've learned so much about ministry from seeing you in action, from hearing you preach, and from our many conversations in your office. And I guess I have to say now that my long apprenticeship is over, and for that I'm really sad. It's been a pleasure to get to know you and Cynthia over the years as friends, and to get to know your growing family, understand growing again. It's our hope that your retirement will be all that you've dreamed it would be, and that you will have a chance to change pace and enjoy your cottage, your family, and your role as grandparents. Some of you may be wondering what Brian and I will be doing with all of our spare time. So there are two things on my list. You know I'm a teacher, right? I have to have an exemplar. This is the first thing. Maybe, Duncan, you can read it for me. The Lord of the Rings. To read The Lord of the Rings. This is a little bit of an inside joke, but as you know, Duncan often used illustrations from books and movies. He's quite current. And when we went over the sermons together on Thursday mornings so that we could coordinate our prayers with the sermon, Duncan would often say, oh, you know, so-and-so in such and such a book, or so-and-so in this movie. And more often than not, I would disappoint him by saying, no, I don't. And so sometimes the sermon illustration was a bit over my head. So I'm determined now to get up to speed. I have no more excuses, starting with this, The Lord of the Rings. So wish me luck on that. This is my second thing. This is my second thing. This is my COVID blanket that I started. Equipment malfunction. Call Duncan. No, I know how to fix this. This is my COVID blanket that I started. And I am going to finish this and give it back to Irma or to Trish. And it can be used to give out to someone that I would normally give them out to in pastoral care, in hospital, or at home. I think I've knitted about 8 rows, so. I do have all the wool, but not. As some of you know, Brian and I now have the family cottage, which his parents bought over 40 years ago in Minden. We're looking forward to spending the summer there with the family, and after taking an extended time to rest, we expect that we will continue to minister in some capacity as God provides the opportunities. I just wanted to say that I've been a Christian since I was 6 years old, and I'm now 70, and I wish my parents could see what they put into me and where I landed. I miss them, and I think it's wonderful to look back and to see how God has guided me all the way through my life, even into teaching, which I did for 35 years with ESL students, English as a second language. The mission field came to me. I had the mission field in my office every day of the week. So I'm pleased that finally I got God's call, didn't go to voicemail, and I arrived here, and this is really my special place. And I just appreciate you all, and I'm really sorry and sad that it's over. But I wish you all the best. I thank you for your friendship. I thank you for your gifts, for the beautiful flowers. They're absolutely gorgeous. For your kind words and for your love. We will never forget you, and we will pray for you in the next chapter of the life of St. Andrews. And I've already preached this morning, so I'm not going to say anything more. God has you in the palm of his hands. Never forget that. He will be with you, and you will get really good ministry people to follow us. Thank you very much.
Wow. I think we've just had two sermons, one from Duncan and one from Monica. We're going to wrap this up now because I'm ready to eat. It's pretty hot, so I would like the choir to exit first because they're going to be doing some work. And people that are helping with the celebration in the kitchen and serving, if they could leave. And then Pastors Duncan and Monica's family to follow those. And then we're going to go by row. We don't want everyone standing around. So if the choir could leave, and all the helpers and people that are serving in the kitchen, they could leave.